Hello, this is Lady Boulay, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your comments, and thank you for your thumbs up. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And yes, we are commanded to love one another, whether we want to or not, or whether we agree with each other or not. Today, I'm talking about the Black manosphere again and the damage they've done to Black America. So every generation has a group of people who think they're helping when in reality, they're doing long-term damage. And for about a decade or more on YouTube, that group was the Black manosphere. This was a loud subset of men who built entire platforms around criticizing Black American women, not discussing history, not building community, not teaching anything meaningful, just tearing down the very women who come from the same lineage, the same soil, and the same story. And now here it is, 10, 15 years later, we're living with the consequences. Now, this is what I mean. We saw a Nigerian immigrant get up on an international stage the other night, winning a Grammy and saying that immigrants built America. His name is Shabuzi. Shabuzi is only 30 years old. So during his formative years, the manosphere was in their heyday. If they had been talking about the Black American story, about the contributions of our ancestors to the culture, country music, where he just won a Grammy riding on the back of Beyonce, if they had been about their father's business and talking about the right things, he may not have gotten up on that stage and made the mistake of saying that immigrants built America. So today I want to break down how the Black manosphere didn't just harm relationships, they harmed the Black American brand. They distracted the world from our culture, our history, and our contributions. And now the next generation is left to clean up behind them. So let's get into it. For years, the Black manosphere dominated YouTube's algorithm with one topic: Black women. Not Black American history, not systemic issues, not solutions, not empowerment, and not legacy. Just endless content attacking Black women for whatever personal grievances they had. And because YouTube is global, that content didn't just stay inside our community, it became a cultural export. People from all over the world consumed it without context, without nuance, without understanding the internal dynamics of Black America. The loudest voices became the representatives, even though they were never qualified to represent anything or anybody. Now, what it looked like from my observation point is that the manosphere thought they were going to convince the world that Black women were undesirable. They thought constant criticism would isolate Black women and make them fall in line. But the internet doesn't work like that. When you talk about a group nonstop, even negatively, you increase their visibility, and visibility creates curiosity. So what happened? Men from other racial and ethnic backgrounds started paying attention. They saw Black women's beauty, intelligence, humor, and culture. They approached with respect. They approached with admiration. They approached without the bitterness and resentment that the manosphere normalized. And now, interracial relationships featuring Black women are everywhere on social media. I mean, you see black women with Asian men now. And I'm not saying these are all black American women, but a lot of these black women with white men are black American. So the manosphere tried to close a door. Instead, they kicked that door wide open, and men who had been wanting to walk through that door came through that door, and they came straight. And all that work of trying to build a case against black women backfired on them. Now let's talk about the missed opportunity. While the manosphere spent a decade arguing with black women, they weren't teaching the world about the forced labor that built the American economy, the generational suffering that shaped this nation, the contributions of black Americans to every major American institution, the reality that black Americans are not immigrants and never have been. They left a vacuum. And when you leave a vacuum, misinformation rushes in. So now you have people, including immigrants who arrived after 1965, confidently rewriting American history on global platforms, not out of malice, but out of ignorance. The main people who are jumping up here saying that immigrants built America weren't even able to come to the United States before the Immigration and Nationality Act was passed in 1965. America was already a superpower then. They don't have any idea who built America. So, ignorance that could have been prevented if the people with the biggest microphones had been using them to educate instead of attack. This is what happens when cultural stewardship is abandoned. And that's what that was, cultural stewardship. They should have been stewards over the Black American experience, history, and culture. Instead, they took up that space attacking the women in their community. The manosphere didn't just fail to defend Black American history, they actively distracted from it. While they were busy fighting with their own women, they weren't teaching Black American history, explaining our lineage, protecting our cultural legacy, correcting misinformation, highlighting our contributions to the foundation of this country, and educating the world about who we are. And because they didn't tell our story, other people stepped in and told it the wrong way. Now we're seeing Black American contributions minimized, credit reassigned to groups who arrived centuries later and had nothing to do with the creation of anything Black American. We have narratives rewritten to erase the role of slavery, and we have Black Americans treated like an afterthought in our own country. This didn't happen randomly. It happened because the people with the biggest microphones were too busy arguing with Black women and didn't defend our culture. I started my YouTube channel because I saw Black women out here struggling, trying to stand up for the dignity of Black American women. And some of them were angry, and some of them were, philosophical about it. But it was a struggle for Black women. And at first, I was just talking about the history and the culture. But one day, somebody said something that I didn't like, so I got in it too. And that's how come I'm talking about the manosphere, because I was personally offended by the things they were saying. They're not so vocal now because they're getting pushback from the younger generations. Some of them have died, some of them been kicked off the platform, and some of them are faking like they changed because now YouTube is monitoring what they're saying. But they did the damage before they were kicked off the platform for one reason or another. And another thing that they did that all Black Americans should take seriously is that they did brand damage to Black Americans on a global scale. Black America has always had a global brand: innovation, style, music, activism, resilience, and cultural leadership. But the brand can be damaged. And I feel like the manosphere exported dysfunction, gender war narratives, internal disrespect, and a distorted image of Black relationships. They made it look like Black Americans don't respect each other. They made it look like Black men don't value Black women, and that's not true. That's that subset of men that didn't value Black women. And they made it look like we're too busy fighting to build anything. And once a brand is damaged, the next generation has to repair it. And that's what's being done now. These younger Black men and women are having to come back and repair what those 30, 40, 50, and some of them 70 years old did back in the early 2000s when they first got on YouTube. And this is where we are now. The manosphere era is over. Their influence is fading. Their talking points are stale, and their impact is mostly negative. The next generation, the creators, historians, educators, artists, now have to restore what was neglected. They have to correct misinformation, recenter Black American history, and rebuild the respect that should never have been lost. And ironically, the people who caused the damage won't be the ones fixing it. First of all, they've been kicked off the platforms, or now they are being ignored, and the culture is moving on without them. So, in talking about the manosphere, we're not just talking about YouTube drama. We're talking about a decade-long cultural detour that weakened our internal relationships, distorted our public image, and left our history undefended. That's more important than trying to attack Black women, because Black women are resilient. Black women know how to bounce back, but they left our history unguarded, and other people are making up stuff and talking about stuff they don't know what they're talking about, just repeating something they heard somebody else say. Immigrants built America. But the beautiful part is this: Black Americans have always rebuilt. We have always rebuilt. We've always corrected the record. We've always reclaimed our narrative, and we'll do it again because our story is too important, too powerful, and too foundational to let a handful of bitter men define it. The next generation is already doing the work, and the world is watching. And I'm proud of them, and I will encourage the next generation to keep talking and keep defending our culture. Because everybody wants a piece of our stuff, but it belongs to us, and we have to value it more than anybody else. Okay, y'all, thank you for listening. Let me know what you think about the video, and have a great day.